Welcome to the April 6th meeting of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. Great seeing so many friends with us here today, live and on Zoom. I won't go through all of that Zoom protocol because everybody should know it by now. But we're glad to see you. Glad you're here. I'd like to thank our greeter, past President Robert Harris. Good job, Robert. Ron Patrick on Zoom, would you like to lead us in the prayer?
For sure. Let's start with a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you'll please bow your heads. Bless us, O Lord, with these thy gifts. Prosper us in our labor and grant that we may become true and loyal Rotarians, exemplifying the object of Rotary in our services to our communities and our families. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ron. Christy, are you on Zoom? Are you zooming in with us today? Is that a yes? From my IT department?
I don't think so.
No.
Seeing
Seeing none. Hey, so who wants to pull up a gear real quick? Yeah, Lisa Marie. No pressure. Yeah. We want to keep everybody informed.
Could you like dance? Or
Birthdays and anniversaries and how long you've been in the club and anything else significant like that.
You want me to give her a little?
Yeah.
Dramatic reading.
Oh my gosh, I know. I got our weekly speaker. Club events and meetings. Hold on, almost there. The gear. Let's do it that way. All right.
Thank you.
Club meeting, it's there. It's got to be there.
Are we firing Mike Shoe?
Birthdays. Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah.
I've got him. Woohoo. All right. So past President Barry Covington, April 2nd,
Whoa.
celebrated a birthday. Woohoo.
Yeah.
We also have Tamara Baker celebrating a birthday this week. And a prelude to next week, past President Bill Langley's birthday's next week. So
Whoa.
I'll mention his name again next week. Oh, okay. And we've got some other birthdays for next week. Anniversaries. I don't have any anniversaries this week, just birthdays. All that and no anniversaries.
Hey,
Sorry.
Wow.
that was worth it.
Wah, wah,
That was
wah.
well worth it. Thank you.
You want me to stay up here?
Past President B.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Everybody's always so weirded out thinking I'm going to call him without knowing it. Hey, so you're on the agenda because you're going to introduce Jeff Michaelman to us today. Hey, yeah, come on up. He's there.
I know. Right. So it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Michaelman. He is the district governor nominee, and I'm having the pleasure of working with him as his assistant governor for Area 6. And he is keeping me very busy, which is a good thing. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Jeff. He's got some interesting news about some stuff that's going on in Rotary. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, B. Let's see. Can I share my screen? Patty, can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, just a minute.
She's the one that's gotta get confused. There,
There we go.
All right, can you guys see the Rotary webpage, the district webpage?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first of all, I want to thank B for arranging this, Tom inviting me, and not surprisingly, Patty for making it happen. One of the things that you know when you start in the district governor chain, you can't be successful without Patty. And so again, coming here today because of Patty. So the first thing I want to point out to you, we have opened applications for the Brent Williams and Al Watson Awards, which are on the webpage. We have had some great Rotarians in this club, and I would like you to consider nominating people for the Brent Williams and Al Watson Awards. We've tried to make it as easy as possible to do that. The next thing, looking at the webpage, I want to scroll down. Can you see the Rotary license plate on the webpage? Well, we've had people long before Mike Darrow was district governor had been working on trying to get a Rotary license plate. And last spring, the legislature passed and the governor signed the bill in October that we now are on our way to getting a Rotary license plate. We have to sell 3,000 vouchers across the state of Florida. And I have challenged my colleagues in the other 7 districts that 6970 will sell more vouchers than anybody else. So that's why I need you guys to help me. If you go to our district webpage, you'll find the link. It's $35. It's an e-commerce solution. You click on it, you give your credit card, you get a voucher. As soon as we get 3,000 vouchers sold, we will have signups for license plates. What happens is 10% of that is administrative, 10% goes to support Rotary Camp Florida, a camp for handicapped kids on the West Coast, and 80% comes back pro rata to the districts based on how many license plates we sell, and we will be using it on youth programs. It's earmarked for youth programs. Speaking of youth programs, I feel bad. Last year we had to cancel RILA. RILA is going on this year virtually. We're excited about it. Kathy Mingery from St. Augustine Sunrise is chairing it. Meg Folds from San Marco is leading the program. As most of you know, she leads Youth Leadership Jacksonville. So that program's in great hands. Hopefully pets went well this year. It was not what our hope was, but we're already starting to plan for next year's pets. And B is going to be working with you guys to get me the name of your president-elect who will be following Richard. We're excited about that. And I'm just excited to be here to hear my colleague, Lauri Wright from UNF to speak. So President Tom, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very
Can
much.
we ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Does the license plate, if Tom has one on his car, does that mean that he won't get picked up for speeding like normal?
You know, past district governors are supposed to be quiet when nominees come to visit, but I can't promise anything.
We can't wait to have you back, Jeff.
I look forward to coming in person, Tom. This is my second visit because you guys just have an awesome past president who I've enjoyed working with this year, but I look forward to joining her at an in-person meeting. I have so many friends in your club.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, especially to rein in past District Governor Mike. So, but always a pleasure. President-elect Richard, would you like to come up and give us a district grant update? Get this in front of everybody.
Thank you. A week and a half ago, we did not know that there was a district grant. This was suddenly thrust upon us. The district is making a small amount of money, but significant to the people that we want to donate to us to match. We're doing that by bringing back Fight Against Hunger as a new program, Fight Against Hunger Part 2. It took us a long time to think that up. So anyway, that's right. And so what we're doing is we are asking our club to make $1,000, at least $1,000 in financial donations, no food this time. And our grant, if accepted, and I think it will be, will match that for a $2,000 plus food donation to 3 food pantries, and there are 3 that we worked with last time. They're very excited to receive this donation. The numbers of applicants for food pantries are still up, and the need is still there. So I thank you in advance. Thank you.
So before you sit down,
Yep.
why don't you mention to everyone, just to take a minute to talk about how many meals are going out of all of these pantries every week?
They were equipped pre-pandemic for about 100 to 125 a week. And even with things calming down a little bit and stimulus money helping people, we're still at probably over 200 a week per food pantry. So the need is very much still there.
It's huge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Past President Bill,
Ready?
come on up.
All right. During the past 12 to 13 months, we've been sort of hampered through our membership committee about bringing new members back to Rotary. Well, that stops now. We are getting back to normal, and with your support, we're going to add our numbers back and end our year strong and get going with our Rotary Club again. We're getting back to normal. You can see we're doing our Bubbles and Pearl social next week. Our Treaty Oak Service Project is underway, and we'll have some time for that in probably May, I think, Lisa Marie. You just heard Richard talk about our food drive. And also last week, we talked about our dental program that we're going to be doing with Richard Mullins and I believe the United Way. So these are great opportunities for us to bring people and invite them into Rotary and show them the good that we do in the community and the social activities that we have. I was talking with Les Loggins the other day, and he put it back, says, South Jacksonville needs to position itself as an excellent place to start getting your life back to normal. So that's what we're going to do. So you ask how. Well, on your desk or on your table, there's a prospective membership form. These are not table decorations. What I'd like you to do is put them in your pocket and think about it. You know, as you go through your week doing your normal activities, think about the people that would be a good Rotarian. You know, you see them every day. They're your work colleagues, the people you meet at church, the people you meet when you're out playing sports or socializing. You know, we need to introduce them to what Rotary does. And what we plan to do, we're not going to, what we want to do is get the information from each one of you guys. That's roughly, we can get about 80 to 90 potential members and start sending them information on Rotary, such as the gear, opportunities we have for service projects that we're doing as a club, and even social events, and even our oratory event. And then once we get solid dates on some of these upcoming activities, and you know, we're going to reach back out to you guys to propose or list the member and ask you to follow up with them and invite them to one of our upcoming events so they can actually see us doing good in our community. And then to wrap that off, once we do it, and this will probably take about over the next 60 to 90 days, we want to end the year strong. You know, we'll gauge your interest and we'll follow back up. The membership committee and I will follow back up with you guys and gauge your members' interest in joining our Rotary so that we can end the year strong and start out next year on a great foot. Thank you very much. Thanks, President Thomas.
Very good.
I'm with you.
Did someone say social? Are you texting someone?
I was.
Yeah, come on. Come on back.
It was an important thing, I promise. Family. So Rue St. Mark next Monday, very, very excited. Like past President Bill mentioned, one of our first social events, our first social event, and we already have exceeded 50% capacity of what we are planning. So there's only a few more spots left. So if you're interested in participating in Bubbles and Pearls, champagne and oysters, and some wonderful networking and fellowship, please get out there and RSVP. The link was included in the gear. So there were 2 links in the top of the gear. One was to respond for this meeting. The other one takes you directly to RSVP for Bubbles and Pearls. So we're very excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just excited about it's outdoors. Yes, thank you. It's outdoors. We are taking into consideration, of course, all COVID protocols and making sure that it's a fun event, but a safe event. So look forward to seeing all of you there. That's it. That's all I got.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
That's good. All right. Could that have been all of our announcements? I think that it was. Emery Ware.
Hello.
Hey. Would you like to introduce our visitors and guests and our welcome song?
I'll be happy to.
Emery.
So I guess first start on Zoom. Do we have any guests or Rotarians who have guests in the crowd? I can't see the crowd, so I'll ask for anybody who is a guest to stand up and introduce themselves. Tom, I don't see you recognizing anybody, so
I think we're members only.
okay. So anyway, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here today.
Good job. Parker, did you watch to see how that was done? No comment from Parker. Right. All right, past president Jason, would you like to introduce our speaker today?
Absolutely. It's wonderful being in Jacksonville and having so many wonderful colleges and universities and finding out all the great things they do. And of course, I have a strong affiliation with UNF. And I have to tell you a little bit about our speaker before I introduce her. The first time I met her, I'd been invited to UNF to see the new food hall. Now, having graduated from UNF, I remember when the cafeteria, I euphemistically would believe that stale piece of white bread was actually toast on my chicken salad sandwich. So when I'm told that they have this new food hall where they have a pizza station, and I'm told I'm invited and I can have anything I want in the food hall. They have a taco bar. They have a pizza bar. They have soup and salad. They have an ice cream station. I am so excited about going to this. And when I arrive, I'm told that Dr. Lauri Wright is going to be our speaker, and they have paired us off with students. And so I'm sat at a table with student athletes who are studying nutrition. It wasn't really peer pressure. It was just pressure. I literally, all I could do was get a cup of soup. I didn't even eat the saltines. So, so evidently nutrition and diet studies do work if you're in the right crowd. But Dr. Lauri Wright is here with us today, and she's fantastic. I know we have some people in the audience that will appreciate that. She did her undergrad at the Ohio State University, and then went on to get her master's at Case Western, and finally her PhD from USF. She's now an associate professor at the University of North Florida in the Brooks College of Health and in the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics. She has gotten so many grants for UNF through her work in food insecurity. She helped start the Northeast Florida Hunger Network. She's helped with a nutritional program for patients that have suffered heart failure. And she's just published on many very, very interesting areas dealing with nutrition and food insecurity. And she's here to talk to us today about those issues. So everybody, please give her a warm South Jacksonville Rotary welcome, Dr. Lauri Wright.
Thank you so much. It's, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm just, oh, here we go. I'm sorry, bear with me. Well, it's not letting me, it's only letting me share on one side. So I really want to have eye contact with you all. So just bear with me. But I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you about what we're doing at the Center for Nutrition and Food Security. And it sounds like it's in alignment with many of the things that you all are doing. And I commend you for your hunger grant that you're initiating. What my area, as Jason said, that I really focus on is food insecurity. And with food insecurity, people often say, what is that? And, you know, prior to COVID, I don't think we talked in this term of food insecurity before. People know hunger, and they don't think of hunger in our country. When they think of hunger, they think of Africa. But this whole term of food insecurity really refers to that lack of reliable access to adequate amounts of affordable and nutritious food. And I always talk about food insecurity on a spectrum. So there are most of us that are in the room today that are food secure. We don't worry about where our next meal is coming from. If the cost of milk goes up, we may grumble, but we can still afford to purchase the milk. But there are those along this continuum that when that cost of milk jumps up, that they cannot afford to buy the milk and other foods. So they start to have to make swaps. They'll swap out the milk for a 2 liter of Kool-Aid or soda instead. So they start making these less nutritious choices. Many of us maybe went through college on ramen noodles, you know, because we were poor students, but that's part of the swaps that people make. Other people that are food insecure begin to make trade-offs between taking their medications. They may take half of their medications so that they have enough to afford the medications and their food. Others will make choices about cutting their meals in half. I get this a lot in seniors where they'll get one meal and they'll split it in 2 and have it for lunch and for dinner. So at the very far end of the continuum then is outright hunger. When those strategies, when those trade-offs don't work anymore and you don't have enough food to keep you full. So this is a problem worldwide. About 1 billion people suffer from food insecurity, and that includes 178 million young children. And I do some work in developing countries, including Africa. And this is the face of food insecurity that I see. Children who have been malnourished from utero, that don't fully develop. And that isn't only their physical stature, but that's also their cognitive ability. In the United States, it's estimated about 1 in 6 Americans experience food insecurity, and that's about 1 in 4 children that experience food insecurity. Jacksonville is a little bit above this prevalence rate for the United States. with about 1 in 5 Americans or Jacksonville natives, people residing in Jacksonville experiencing food insecurity. And those were figures prior to COVID. And you mentioned about the increased demand as a result of COVID. Because of job losses, the disruption in food access, the numbers have truly skyrocketed. We see that food insecurity rates have increased by about 1/3. So about 33% more households are food insecure. And these are new. This is a new phenomenon. These are over 1/3 of those new people, or those people that are food insecure. This is a new event for them. They've never had to go to a food bank before. They've never had to worry about where their next meal was going to come from. Federally approved, we have seen some flexibility in our federal food programs. Our school lunch program, for example, very rigid rules around the school lunch program. But when kids couldn't go to school, that is a huge support of food programming for children. And when that wasn't available, the feds gave flexibility. And so you saw some real innovative school programs that were taking the bus and delivering the meals to the students in their own home. So some real innovations. And I'll talk about how we at the center were able to take advantage of some flexibility in the Meals on Wheels program as well. I am, as a dietitian that has practiced for years before coming to academia, I'm particularly interested in the impact that food security has on health. You would, again, this old stereotype of this starving child, and them being very wasted in their arms and legs. What we see in this middle of the continuum, those that are food insecure and are still making those swaps, we actually see that they suffer more obesity and more obesity related issues. So over half of individuals that are food insecure are in fact have high blood pressure. 1/3 have diabetes. These are alarming rates because not only do they have these higher issues of health problems, but they don't have the access to healthcare because of these issues. We know that food insecure diabetics come to the ER more at the end of the month when their subsidies run out and their blood sugars bottom out because they don't have the food to consume and keep their blood sugars up. They have longer lengths of stay and more morbidities around that. With our patients that are HIV and food insecure, there's a lot less compliance with medications. And that can be related to that they just can't maybe afford the medications, or if they don't have the food, many of medications have to be taken with food. So if they don't have the food, then they don't take the medications. That looks like non-compliance, but in fact, it's a much greater issue. And then in our seniors, which are often the unnoticed hungry in our community, that they have more loss of quality of life, more hospitalizations, and often have to leave their home and go into supportive care as compared to their more food secure counterparts. So at the Center for Nutrition and Food Security, we really want to be part of the solution. We want to understand and be a part of the solution. So I want to talk about 2 initiatives that we have done and hope to expand as we move forward. The first of the initiatives is the Food is Medicine. And this is a this is a really popular term in healthcare and nutrition. Food is medicine, and we know that early philosophers said that let food be thy medicine, and I really do believe in the power of food and nutrition to prevent diseases and also manage diseases. And that's the philosophy that we take, is we not only provide access to healthy foods, but we provide that support that they can actually use the healthy foods. I was just in a meeting yesterday about a nonprofit that is bringing a grocery store to a food desert. So an area of the east side of Jacksonville that hasn't had a grocery store for so long. And you know, then you end up relying on these little corner stores and 7-Elevens and Dollar Trees to get your food. And they were talking about a food distribution where they gave out eggplants. And, you know, eggplants, I can think of all of the wonderful things I would do with eggplants. Well, when the recipients were getting these eggplants, they had no idea what to do with them. I've been at food distributions with kiwi, and that was such a novel fruit that they had no idea. But if you can just open, you know, peel the kiwi and maybe put it with some yogurt, or if you could have a little station where you were preparing the eggplant and letting them taste it and see, hey, this tastes good and this is what I can do with it. Wrapping those services, that the education and the skill building around the food really does help improve health. So we started with one program. We partnered with UF Health here on 8th Street, and we did a food as medicine for diabetics. And it was a 6-week program where the clients with the highest, the most out of controlled diabetes, let me say that, they came to the group, and we had a class each week that included cooking demonstration. So as we talked about important aspects of controlling their diabetes, we were cooking. And we were using recipes that were culturally appropriate. They got to taste it. And then they got a healthy food basket to take home with them that week that included all the ingredients of that recipe and more. And so, you know, at the end of that program, we really found that short term, that their confidence to prepare healthy foods improved, that they actually started eating more produce, fresh fruits and vegetables. Their diabetes burden score, which, you know, the living with a chronic illness takes its toll, and even that well-being improved. And what we saw after 3 months after this program is that their blood sugars improved significantly. So really powerful program. And I will have to tell you, is one unexpected impact of that program is they bonded with one another, and they have continued an informal support group with their fellow participants, which we thought was wonderful. A similar program that we did was at Northeast Florida AIDS Network, and it's called Positive Nutrition. And it was a 4-week program, again, nutrition education, cooking demonstrations, healthy food basket. And we found similar impact, that their medication use improved. They were more compliant. They were more confident in their ability to consume healthy foods, and ultimately the control of their virus improved too. That program has been so successful that the executive director was able to get a grant to actually hire a registered dietitian and continue these programs. So really excited. And now we are moving into heart failure and looking at the impact that this type of program has on preventing hospital readmissions. So the second initiative that I'd like to talk about, our first initiative, our Food is Medicine initiatives, were hampered a bit by COVID, as many programs were. But our food recovery meal distribution program actually exploded during COVID. And so let me just give you a little bit of background about food waste. Did you know that all the food that is prepared in the United States, about 40% of it isn't eaten? It's just thrown in the trash can. That has a huge impact on the health of our environment, but it's also estimated that if we decrease food waste, we would have the ability to feed everyone in our country and beyond. So food waste is really an important issue. And I see it as an opportunity. So this started shortly after I came here about 4.5 years ago. And we partnered, Jason, with that beautiful cafeteria that you saw. And I'm not even allowed to say cafeteria, it's a cafe, that beautiful cafe. Yes, there's pizza and sushi, but there's still food waste. There's still quite a bit of food tossed out after the students have gone through. And what we first did is we asked them if we, instead of throwing that food away, could we come in and collect that food? And so we would collect the food and take it back to our food lab, and we would put the various foods together into healthy meals. And those meals were then delivered to several agencies that had people in need. So the AIDS Network, Lutheran Social Services, Sulzbacher were our main recipients. And this was all done with student volunteers, dietetic students, nursing students, environmental health students. We've had such an outpouring. This generation is very, very socially conscious, and they really want to make a difference. And so these students would pick up the food, they put them together in meals that were supervised, of course, by faculty, and then they would deliver them to the agency. In this model, which was called Food Fighters, this model, then caseworkers at the various organizations would identify their participants that needed the meals the most and give out those meals. This program was actually recognized by former President Bill Clinton when he came to the university and said that it should be a model for all universities to do some type of food recovery meal delivery program. So Food Fighters in some 3 years recovered over 23,000 pounds of food that we turned in. It was about pound for meal. We turned about 24,000 meals that were sent out to these various organizations that have so many people that fight hunger every day. Now, when COVID hit, our cafe, we didn't have students on campus anymore. And the Food Fighters, we actually had to stop Food Fighters for a short time because of that lack of supply. But the second program, Food Recovery Meal Delivery Program, that came about has to do with seniors. And again, as I said earlier, many of our seniors are the unknown, the quiet. They come from a generation that does not want to ask for help. And we often don't know how they struggle day to day. And it's estimated that 1 in 5 seniors are actually food insecure. And that puts them at greater risk for malnutrition. And I always say this term malnutrition. Mal means bad. So it's not just the wasting away, but again, it's some of those other health impacts like high blood pressure and diabetes that result from it. But in our seniors, the food insecurity coupled with other health issues really sets them up for malnutrition. And we all know that many of our seniors maybe come down from up north, they don't have family here. They often also suffer from isolation and loneliness. So Meals on Wings is a phenomenal program, nationwide program. And I have been involved with Meals on Wheels throughout the state. But it was about 2 years into Food Fighters that I was sitting at a meeting, a community meeting at the Senior Hunger Action Alliance. And they talked about that currently the Meals on Wheels program here in Jacksonville had a wait list of 1,000 seniors. 1,000 seniors who met eligibility, but because of resources, they weren't getting meals. And I was just so astonished. And I thought, there's something we can do. We can be a part of a solution for this. So we knew that if we were to take our current model, the Food Fighters model, there had to be some modifications. Most seniors are dealing with it on average two to three chronic conditions. So the food that is served in the cafe, although it's wonderful, college students love it, it is a little high in sodium and some fat. So not necessarily the food that we want to provide our homebound seniors. So we knew we needed to partner instead with hospitals. Again, lots of food waste. Even the best chefs are going to have food waste. So partnering with hospitals that have modified meals that meet more of the seniors' needs. And instead of delivering the meals just to a center point, we knew that we had to reach the seniors in their home. So that's where the Meals on Wings program was born. It was an alteration of Food Fighters, but recovering from hospitals, putting it together in healthy meals, and then our student volunteers actually delivering the meals to the homebound seniors. So prior to COVID, we were recovering from 4 hospitals. Baptist was our first champion. And we had 28 seniors we had 2 routes. We went out to those seniors twice a week, and we provided about 3 meals each time we delivered, or about 6 meals per week. And it was all student fueled, wonderful, wonderful students. But when the pandemic hit, of course, we were in a panic because we knew now so many more seniors didn't have access to food. And we didn't want to let down our current students or seniors, and we wanted to expand to meet the need. Well, you can imagine the hospitals were on lockdown. So how would we get to the food? We already knew the cafe was they had shut down. And then the hospitals were on lockdown. And also the university, Jeff, you may remember, we weren't allowed on campus. We were threatened if we walked on campus that we would be removed by the police. So thankfully, I had talked about this program to the president, and I asked for an exception. I asked for us to be considered essential, just like other Meals on Wheels programs throughout the nation are, just like student health was considered essential. And I was lucky enough to be granted that exception. Then I had to talk to the hospitals, and if we needed to be able to get into the hospitals. So we came up with some really clever ways to get to the hospitals. We meet several of the hospitals. We exchange food on the loading dock. We couldn't go inside to the hospitals. So instead, the food service workers would bring the food, wheel the food down to the loading dock, and we would exchange the food there. Where there's a will, there's a way. And we needed, if we were going to feed more people, we needed more hospitals. So we were able to expand and add more branches of Baptist, more branches of Brooks, and then we brought on University of Florida Health here in Jacksonville. It was all hands on deck. There weren't many students left. We pulled on some alumni and even some of the faculty and staff to help pull together. So in the first 1.5 years of the Meals on Wings program, when we were only 28 seniors, we recovered about 12,000 pounds of food and delivered about 6,500 meals. Since the pandemic, in this 1 year mark since the pandemic, we have provided over 15,000 meals to homebound seniors. We went from 28 to 175, and in 2 weeks, we are expanding to over 200 homebound seniors. Our model had to change a little bit. We now are delivering 1 day a week to various routes. We actually deliver 3 days a week, but we have different routes on each day. And so at that time, though, we serve 5 meals to the seniors. So the program, we wanted to look at the actual impact. That's always part of a university, is to do some type of evaluation. And we looked at our seniors, first of all, our Food Fighters recipients from Lutheran and Sulzbacher and the AIDS Network, and we found that their overall food security improved. They had decreased stress. They're not worrying so much about where their next meal is going to come from, and they're more compliant with their medications. And our homebound seniors, they also benefited. Their nutritional status improved, which is so critical for our seniors. They increased their dietary intake. And I'm not talking about like statistically significant. As a clinician, I'm talking about like 300 more calories per day, 20 more grams of protein, significant, clinically significant improvements in intake. The meals were really making a difference. Their food security, of course, improved. But one thing that we're really proud of is that we're more than a meal. Just like Meals on Wheels, we also are more than a meal. We are a touch point. Our students form bonds. We've had, I remember a student that had been with us from the very beginning of the program. All 2 years, she had the same route. She can tell you about Miss Pearl and Mr. Jack. And on her last day, she cried, and they gave her gifts and she gave them gifts. And it was just, it's amazing to see these touch points. And even with COVID, no, you can't go in and check their refrigerator, take the meals in for them. You have to be more cautious, obviously, for their safety. But just that once a week contact, hi, how are you? Even if you are at 6 feet, you can still show that you care. And that has really made an impact on the seniors' perceived loneliness scores and well-being. And for our students who already started at very high levels of empathy and social responsibility, even those levels increased. But some additional impacts that we've seen is their leadership skills increased dramatically. They really work as a team, and these informal leaders develop. And so as they're deciding what foods are going to be put together in a meal or who's going to deliver here, those leadership skills really come to the forefront. And their professional skills. Many of them are dietetic students. They're going to go on to be registered dietitians. And so knowing that food safety, knowing when they're looking at one of the clients, if they're in, their health is in distress. We have a next layer after they graduate from undergraduate, they have to go on for an internship, very, very competitive. We are proud to say that our student leaders, volunteers get there first. They all get placed and they get their top choice. And we think that part of it is the Meals on Wings experience. So it's been a wonderful program, and we're just continuing to grow. We recently partnered with Pie in the Sky, which is down in St. Augustine. They had been giving meals to, or produce to low-income seniors, but now they needed to change their model too. And what I will say is, I serve on the board of Feeding Northeast Florida. I love the mission of Feeding America. But for seniors especially, a bag of healthy food and produce sometimes just isn't going to be utilized because of, they have maybe arthritis or they have breathing problems. Standing up and cooking a meal is very difficult. Or even if you're by yourself, you're a widow, and just the effort of making that meal, it's tougher. So this is a group that really benefits from that meal. It's a healthy meal that they can warm up. And, I think there's a place for each type of support, but these meals are really making a difference in their health and their overall well-being. So we just continue to expand, and we are going to be working with Humana and looking at a way to do seed grants for 2 other communities across the United States that want to try to build a program like this as well. So with that, I'll stop talking and I'll let you ask any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Lauri. Do you have time for a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Do we have any online? Can you guys see? Is anybody on the chat? Somebody read that other than me? Yes, no?
Jason, can you see any questions online?
While we're looking for that, how about here in the room? Anybody have any questions for Lauri?
Are the students volunteers?
All of the students are volunteers, and those that pick up food and those that deliver food, we give them a $5 gas card to help offset, because a lot of our students are on the edge too. With the cost of education, they're on the edge too. So our big costs are the gas cards and the meal containers. They add up when you're doing, over 800 to 1,000 meals a week. And I can tell you, one of the things that happened with COVID, all of these lessons learned, nothing we could have done about it, but so many restaurants moved to carry out, to take out. So those containers, those meal containers, the supply dropped dramatically, and they increased their rates, their prices on those meal containers. So that's a big cost for us. And then also sometimes we have to supplement. We were very lucky during the pandemic, and all of this, I believe, really everything happened for a reason so that we could do what we're doing. And we got a space in the old AOL building. So people that are from Jacksonville know what I'm talking about, but it's the old AOL building that the university has now, Hicks Hall. And there was a commercial kitchen. They gutted most of the commercial kitchen, but there was a walk-in freezer and a walk-in cooler. And the guys in the university kept saying, "Oh, you'll never be able to afford to get those working again." We had a company come out. It was only a couple $100 to add some more Freon. And we had this huge walk-in cooler, walk-in freezer. But you don't know how exciting that is for us, because then we can store frozen vegetables to supplement and just really increase our storage space. So it really helped us. But those are our 3 big costs. I don't get any money. This whole program has all been, it started with internal grants that I got from UNF. And then we've been lucky during COVID, because of those relaxations in the federal guidelines, we actually could be a paid provider, like a Meals on Wheels provider. with Elder Source. So we were getting paid to provide meals for Elder Source, and then the American Heart Association, and now recently Humana. So, you know, good work sometimes just breeds good karma, and people have come out and supported us. One time in the end of March, when we first expanded during COVID, they did a news story on us, and the community donated like $6,000 to help us. And it was just so greatly appreciated because, you know, I keep, you know, it just keeps, everything just keeps coming together so that we can serve more and more seniors.
Very nice. Anybody? Yes, Warner.
I may have missed it, but do you have connections at all with the downtown economic services?
Do you have connections with the downtown? I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the question for him?
Sure. Warner was wondering if you have connections with DESC, DESC.
Downtown
Ecumenical Services Council.
No, that is one group that we don't. We do a lot within Health Zone 1, like Edgewood and around Edward Waters. And now I was just in talks, we're going to be doing some work with the East Tampa. She was East Side, out East or East Side. We're expanding. Sorry, I'm not a native, so I'm learning. But those are some of the areas that we're primarily in, but I would love to get some connections there too.
Yes,
Desk. Okay, I appreciate that. We do have what's called we formed a network, a hunger network, because when I came here from Tampa, I saw so many great things going on, but people were overlapping and not aware of what each other was doing. And so we have formed a hunger network for Jacksonville, and it's based at UNF so that it is, we're a neutral body. We aren't competing for the grants that the different NGOs are competing for. We feel that's very important. And what our first output for our network is we've built a hunger map, and it's a GIS map, and it has different layers so that you can look at where the need is, what the health issues are, and where are the programs. And that helps us to decide where the gaps are that we as a network can come together and work on. Again, with the university, we had a GIS expert that volunteered his time. We have public health students going out into the community and doing surveys. So it really is helping bring people together. But I'm always trying to find out who's working in these different spaces so that we can, keep them at the table.
Great. Lauri, as a thank you, we'll be making a contribution in your honor to the Rotary Foundation for Polio Plus. Thank you for doing this today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, reminders to everyone, please remember to RSVP for each meeting and for each event that we have coming up. Don't forget about the social a week from yesterday, Bubbles and Pearls, because we're going to close it off when we hit our number. So if you're interested, the sooner the better. And next week, our speaker will be Dr. Colleen Bell with the Salzbacher Center. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, do you want me to say real fast?
Yes.
I just got noticed by text about 20 minutes ago, Jerry Hanks is being moved to, he's our past president from Gary, I can't remember when, about 20 years ago. Yeah, so he's our past president. He stopped breathing when he got to the hospital on Friday or Saturday night. They got him breathing again. He's being moved to hospice. He has somewhere between 1 day and 14 days. If anybody wants to send cards, that's great. He's not oriented. So the cards would be great if his wife Bobby, DOBBI, got cards. So we'll get something to Patty so she can put it out in email form. But that just came in today. We knew he was in trouble. Yes. I'm not sure what it is. I just saw that he's going to hospice, so this has all but just been in text in the last 20 minutes.
We'll send that out for everyone.
Yeah.
This is just occurred. So, as we end our meeting, please join me in the Rotary motto. Service above self, one profits most, who serves the best. See you next week.
Promise I won't